Alright, what's up, guys? So, I'm doing this video because there are entitled people in this world that they demand, they deserve a tip. You know, it's like if I do a job, I deserve a tip. No, you deserve that paycheck, and that's it. That is all that you deserve. But I'm gonna be using examples. I'm gonna be talking about my own personal situations of when I had worked in Seattle. I think some of you guys may know that I used to work at a cafe, and then because of the pandemic, the cafe ended up closing down. And then also, I'll be using one of my friends. Some of you guys, if you joined my streams, you may seen this name before, Wholesome. But yeah, he does delivery jobs. And we were just talking about it today and stuff because I brought up the situation of the DoorDash or Uber Eats driver, whatever he worked for. But yeah, no. So there was this video that went viral on Twitter where a guy, he banged on the door and was like overall like upset over the fact that the person, whoever it was that ordered the food, they didn't tip him. So yeah, he bangs on the door, calls them up, and he's asking about a tip. And then when I guess they explained why they couldn't give him a tip, he hangs the phone up in their face and calls them a loser. I think we could all see who the real loser is if you out doing stuff like that. But that's one thing that my parents have told me, where it's like, you don't ask for stuff that you don't like. If it's not, here's the thing, not so much as that it's not deserving, but it's like if the thing isn't given to you, you got to work for it. So if there is this dollar amount that you want, let's say you want $1,000,000, don't be expecting millionaires and billionaires to be giving you. No, you have to work for that $1,000,000. And if you put in work for that $1,000,000 and you still haven't gotten to that $1,000,000, then that means you have to continue putting in work. But based off of one delivery, two deliveries, three deliveries, if you haven't reached that dollar amount that you want to reach, then fam, you have to keep putting in work. That has literally been life since the beginning of times. So that's why it confuses me when people are defending how that guy reacted. But let's say it would have been a different situation where he breaks into their house, starts beating them within an inch of their lives, breaks into their house, kills them over. Do you guys think you would still be defending this man? Or even let's put you in that situation, right? And somebody opens up the door, gun drawn in your face, talking about whose door are you banging on? What would you still gonna ask for that tip? No, you're not. I know that you're not. Even if they're all like, well, I carry a gun myself. I'm a licensed carrier and stuff. But the fact that you are in that situation, you shouldn't even be in that situation. So overall, I'm saying is that you should not be on people's doors, banging, calling them up, texting them, whatever, demanding a tip. If that person wants to give you a tip, that is their decision. Now, let's switch gears. Let's talk on when I was working at this cafe in Seattle. I worked at this cafe in Seattle for 4 years. Never once did I look a customer in their face and ask them for a tip. Even if it was the greatest of the greatest interactions to the downright horrible, I don't ever want to see that customer again interaction, never once that asked for a tip. All 4 years. Those customers would come in and they would give us a tip. Why? Because they wanted to do that. All right. Even if it's like, oh, I just got like a few change. And bruh, I'm telling you, there have been times where they will put just a penny in there because that's all that they got back in. Like, so if something comes up to like $1.99, they give me $2. Change back is, a penny and stuff. Yeah, they'll put that penny in there. I'm not looking at them. I'm like, well, you can maybe put a little bit more in there. No. You never, I don't care what the situation is, you never ever in life say that to a customer under any circumstances. I don't care how broke you are, you never look, well, no, you can maybe put like maybe a few more dollars in there and stuff. Honestly though, how would y'all react though if they're like, let's say you don't have the money to go, all you have is the money is to just buy the initial product that you want to buy, right? And then the person's looking at you like, oh well, you can put some money in the tip jar. How would you respond to that? Because I'm curious. If you willingly put if you willingly put money in that tip jar, okay. But if you do it because they told you to do it, no, that person literally has power over you. They can tell you to jump and you're going to ask how high. So that's why I'm like, no, if there's ever a time where I go out, I mean, like, I've been to Vegas, and of course, you got panhandlers left and right where it's like they just do a service, and then because y'all made eye contact, oh, now I got to tip them. No. If I tip you, that is my choice. That is my decision. It's not your decision. You didn't make my money. I made my money. So therefore, if I want to tip you with my money, then okay, that's cool. That's fine. But if you're demanding me to tip you with my money, no, that's not going to happen. I don't care what service you've done. But I worked at this job for 4 years, and I'm saying, like, at times we would get maybe like $10 in tips, $20 in tips compared to the paycheck that we got. That's why a lot of times, like, when I would get tips, it would be a situation where I just use it to maybe like just buy me a protein shake throughout the week. And I'm like, all right, use that up. Or if I see a homeless person, give it to them. But the paychecks that I was getting, even if it was a situation where I wasn't even getting any tips there, all right, cool, fine. I'm not tripping about it. It's like, because like even as a cashier, I was working at this place. I thought of that at times where it was like, why do I get tips? All I just do is ring them up and then that's it. So I'm like, I'm confused. So let's say if there was a situation where they were like, okay, well, the money is only going to go to the cooks and the chefs. They're the ones doing most of the work. So I'm like, I don't know. And the thing is this, they were getting paid more than me anyways. So it was like, why should I be tripping about something? I'm like, my checks are good. So I'm like, I'm not going to trip about it. So that's why I'm like, if that was the case, hey, more power to them. I'm like, I hope, they're able to get the things that they want to get in life, save up, do whatever they want to do with that money. But I'm like, if that was the case, would not trip about it. All right. But yeah, there was a lot of times like where we wasn't even getting a whole lot of tips. And then I even remember a time where it was one of the chefs that worked at the cafe. He had like some like really expensive knives get stolen from him. It was like somebody had snuck into the building, took the knives, all that stuff. So I remember my supervisor approaching me and was all like, hey, for the next few weeks, is it okay if we give your tips? And everybody, it wasn't like just me personally, but it was like everybody in there. But excuse me, they was all like, is it cool that we can give your tips to the chef so he can save up and buy these knives? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, he needs his knives and stuff. So I'm like, it's unfortunate and it's messed up that happened to him. But I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm not tripping. It's like only $10, $20 anyways. I'm like, my paychecks be covering my bills and everything else. So I'm like, I'm not tripping about it. But so, yeah, I'm like, that just furthermore shows where it's like, if a person is putting in work, chump like little like pocket change, that's not gonna matter to them. That's how I honestly seen that the tips. It was just pocket change. It was like, all right, if I'm short on something, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I got tips. Like, so let's say for an example, I go out and I buy me a pair of shoes, right? And it's like, it's like $200 shoes. I only have 190. I got that $10 that I made in tips. So I'm like, oh, well, here you go. And I'm like, here's the $10. That's how I seen it. It was just pocket change. So I never really tripped about it. So there were some weeks where we wasn't even getting tips because people wasn't tipping. Did I have an attitude towards them? No. There were so many customers where it was like all 4 years I worked there were so many customers I was chilled with and it's like, fam, they could have went the whole time there not tipping or anything. Them just doing so much as like having a conversation with me, telling me about their day. I had it where a woman told me more about her kids than giving out tips. And I'm like, fam, I didn't look at her any differently. I'm like, hey, come back in tomorrow. I'm like, I want to hear more about your kids. I want to hear more about your family. I'm like, no, I'm interested. I'm invested into your personal life. But no, that's just how it was. It's like when you put in work, stuff like that ain't gonna matter to you. I guarantee and I promise you, when you put in work, tips, all that stuff, all you gonna worry about is putting in your work and getting a paycheck. That's it. All right. So anyways, and then talking on my friend, so he works for a delivery service. And yeah, it's like, even me and him, we were talking about that, how there's like at times where people don't tip. He doesn't change his attitude. He ain't banging on their doors. He ain't doing none of that. He goes on about his business to the next delivery. And the reason why is because he is a hardworking person. All the times in the short time at that, but the short time that I've known him, he is honestly one of the most hardest working people that I have met. And he doesn't do things with an attitude. He's honestly probably one of the most positive and outgoing people. He might say like weird things at times, but that's just who he is. That is who he is. He ain't gonna change because like, oh, well, I'm not getting enough tips, so therefore I gotta become a villain, or I gotta do this, or I gotta do that. No, he goes on about his business. So to anybody out there that feels like they're entitled to a tip because you did some sort of service, bruh. And even like from like my family, my own dad, he worked for a delivery service for I don't know how many years. Never once did he ever complain about any tips. He just does the job. He was getting great, amazing paychecks from. So it's like if you're getting a good enough paycheck, you're not going to worry about tips. If you're not getting a good enough paycheck, then obviously, yeah, stuff like that is going to matter. You trying to get every cent that you can possibly get, even though you're not deserving of it. But it's like, fam, if you just go out, all right, put in the work, even so much as just going out and finding a good paying job, you're not going to be worried about tips. So, moral of this whole video, moral of this story, go out and get you a better paying job so you don't have to worry about tips. But it's like when they say dumb stuff, all like, oh, well, nothing in this world is free. You're right. Nothing in this world is free. But also, you are not entitled to a tip. I don't care what service you've done. So when people like the next time, if you deal with a person and they say like, oh, well, where's my tip? And it's all like, did you do anything extra to get? Because if all you did was just the basics of the basics, literally the bare minimum, all you did was your job. You got to put up with your company, the place that you work for, about getting extra money and all that stuff. Then that was another thing that my friend told me that works for delivery services is that they pay for like, you know, the extra accessories or whatever it is. Like, I don't know, because I don't do that food delivery or any type of delivery stuff. But they give you a good enough check. And if they don't, then it's like, fam, you're in the wrong profession. Go out and get you a better job. Plain and simple. I don't know why. It's like people will hear this, right? And then they want to argue. And it's like, instead of arguing, that's why you're not getting paid enough. Because you want to sit down and argue with everybody that has their opinion. It's like, fam, if you just go out and just put in work, it's like you don't have to sit down and argue with people. It's like that's how you know a person ain't putting in no work. Where it's like they want to sit down and argue with people about stuff like that. Meanwhile, it's like the more times you click on it, I don't think they realize that, but it's like, yeah, more times you just click on my video, you're giving me views, so you're making me money. I appreciate that from you guys, but yeah, it's like people, it's pointless to be out there getting that upset because you're not getting no tips. Who cares? Who cares? Go out and get you a good paying job. Become a content creator. I don't care what you do, but don't be in a person, and especially a customer, because it's funny how they'll turn around. If they will be in a situation where they're now the customer and they're dealing with a crazy employee, they're going to probably say some old dumb stuff like, oh, well, the customer is always right. But you put them back in that situation where they're a delivery person and they don't get a tip. At that point, no, the customer is wrong. They will always be wrong. Now I'm like, yeah, it's stuff like that where it's just people, get you a good paying job and you don't have to worry about people tipping you. All right. So anyways, and that being said, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. Peace.